Hey, I'm Rachel. This is Let Me in the Library, and today we're not really going to do a book video. Um, I talked about this a little bit on my Instagram stories, and this is not like a serious, like, oh no, the channel is ending or anything like that. I just kind of feel like BookTube is a space where a lot of people come around and they talk about the things that they're excited to read, and they talk about book reviews, and that's what this space is for. But right now, it feels almost a little disingenuous to just be continuing to post stuff like that without talking about what's actually going on in my life. And I've usually been a relatively private person on the internet. I definitely will still tweet things that maybe don't mean anything to other people but are about my life. But I kind of feel like being honest about stuff like this in a public space and being a little vulnerable is healthy. And this is just, I don't know, like a PSA or just like a heart to heart, like let's just chat about what's been going on between updates to my life and work, drama, and just everything altogether. I unfortunately recently succumbed to COVID unexpectedly. As with everybody else, who is double vaxxed and thinks they're not gonna get it, surprise, I ended up getting it and it sucked. Luckily for me, my recovery period of actually having horrible symptoms was pretty short, and then I had to test, and I didn't test negative for a while, so I ended up staying inside and quarantining and stuff. And unfortunately, around the same time, we had switched cell phone providers for my family's cell phone plan, and apparently that cell phone provider had some kind of like error or something with their tower. They quarantined all of my texts, which sucks because when you are sick and you're like, cool, now I can't go see Lil Nas X, so let me go sell my concert ticket for that. Cool, I can't go to this birthday party celebration. Cool, I'll just stay here because I don't want to infect anybody. And then you try reaching out to people and texting folks and being like, what's going on? Like, hey, you want a buddy read a book? Like, what's up? And you get no response. You're like, cool. Does everybody hate me? Which is obviously irrational thinking, but it's very easy to feel that way. And I think especially with a space like social media where you are expected to post regularly or to interact with people regularly, or if that's just sort of the habits that you've built for yourself, as I know I have, it often feels very isolating when you're already staying at home and then you don't hear back from people. And I didn't know what was wrong with my phone. I actually did test this with other people who texted me. I never got anything, so I could tell there was obviously something up. But it sucked because I was like, cool, do my friends hate me? I literally don't know. Guess I'll just keep living my life alone. I kind of figured it out that it was a problem there, and luckily I did end up getting all of my texts unquarantined, so I got them back, and I got like 40 texts at once from, like the political candidates as well as like people who were actually trying to reach out to me. I still had like Instagram and stuff, so it's not like I was literally 100% alone. I still had stuff to interact with people with, but it is sucky when you're like, I'm alone and I'm sick and I have nothing going on. I'm usually a type of person who definitely has a million hobbies, so I can find something to do, whether it is reading or it's not reading related. So it's not so much that I ran out of things to do, but I find that engaging in those hobbies to a certain degree is not as fulfilling as being able to share that process with others when they have already shown excitement for you. Other times you're sort of in this sort of anhedonic state while you're sick of, I can't move, I don't want to do anything anyway, so if anything, I maybe will like listen to a podcast and pass out now. That all happened some time ago. That was about 2 weeks ago, and I recovered and I was better, able to go back out in public, tested negative, so I wasn't going to infect anybody. However, on this most recent Wednesday, I ended up going to urgent care because Tuesday night was a bit of a rough night for me. I barely ate anything, I didn't drink anything, and I had had very little sleep the night before. And I was working all day long, and my job involves just basically talking for hours and hours and hours because I train people on our software. It's really just constant talking. I was really exhausted. It was also my parents' anniversary, so I wanted to help do something special with them, and I was also babysitting. So there was so much already going on, and then I started to notice I was really having breathing trouble. I had noticed before that I was having breathing trouble, usually in the evenings where it was just very hard on my chest and it felt like a lot of pressure, but this was a night where I felt like, oh, I feel deeply uncomfortable with the amount that I can't breathe normally, and I've looked up things about how to breathe better when COVID makes it so you can't breathe so good, and it's just sort of like a dystopian moment where you go, huh, so I have to go on the internet to be like, how do I breathe when a disease makes me not breathe? And also, how do I find a doctor to help me with this? For some reason, it's just extremely difficult to find those doctors through my health insurance app or through like doctor searching websites and whatnot. So I was extremely frustrated, and I think a lot of this comes back to sort of my own mental health journey and everything that I had sort of mentioned in a prior video. So I don't know, like, I will ask for help, but I think like I'm not exactly prideful about it, but I don't really feel like certain things I need to ask for help about. And this was one where I just sort of caved and wrote a note like, I can't breathe so good. Can someone please help me get a doctor? Because I can't find anything. Here's my health insurance card. Someone help me. Luckily, having lived with my parents, and they're very kind and good at navigating stuff, especially in the medical world, they were able to help me, check and double check which places I could go to. And we just decided, let's go to urgent care on Wednesday morning. So I ended up basically kind of calling out of work for some of my meetings and going to urgent care. And while I was there, they checked my lungs, and thankfully they said I don't have any lung damage or anything really out of the ordinary. It is pretty normal for some people who are recovering to have breathing trouble, and they gave me medicine for it. So one of those prescriptions are these pills, and I basically take these throughout the day to help me artificially inflate my lungs so that they breathe better. And that is scary. The idea that my lungs wouldn't be able to do this without medicine is really scary, and I guess I haven't really been to a doctor in some time, so obviously medicine is great, but it just really kind of scared me to think that I went on that next day because I was able to ask for help and find a place and go there. But I think the day that that happened and the next day, I had a lot of breathing trouble, and I was like, if I had not gone and if I had not gotten this medication, I don't know if I would be as okay as I am today. Not necessarily to say that I would be hospitalized, but I just was really, really struggling. So I was grateful I had gone, but it was still a very scary moment. On top of getting some pills that actually literally only last for like 6 days, I'm on day 4 right now. So that's also quite scary that after this is over, maybe I'll need more and I don't have them. And I don't know that I can really actually refill this script so easily. So I also got an inhaler. So I've got every little piece necessary to be an official nerd, which, you know, I'm crazy about. So, whatever. Like, it's cute. It's a little Let Me in the Library colored inhaler. I've used it once before. Be honest, it was not as nerdy as I thought it was going to be. I thought there'd be a much louder noise or whatever, but it was just very chill. I guess this has helped me, and I'm really hoping that it will continue to help me. I feel like I'm doing this like it's a haul. Like, oh my god, check out this new product, you've got to get it. When all of this happened, I was just sort of going through the day like, I'm just, like, I have no real feelings about this, I'm just doing it. It is what it is. I'm taking this medicine, I'm trying to just breathe and go through the rest of my day. There was stupid work drama on the same day as well, but I feel like the next day, which was a day that I ended up posting an Instagram story trying to kind of talk about what I'm trying to talk about today, that was a day where I was not doing as well because I had woken up and I could not breathe as well. The night before, I'd had a bit of like a breathing attack in the middle of the night, and I just could not I don't know, like, inhale and exhale as properly. Most people don't have to think about breathing, you just do it. And the idea of having to think about breathing correctly and basically inhale and let your stomach inflate and then exhale and let it go in is like the opposite of what your body normally does, but it's like that yoga technique to improve breathing and stuff. And that was really what I had to be doing before I had any of this medicine. It's just very scary to think like, okay, apparently this is normal for this novel disease, and who knows how long this is going to last. Potentially could last for a very long time, and then I will have to go see a pulmonologist. This was something I was struggling with, but I wasn't allowing myself to really feel those emotions. And even to this point, I don't know if I'm really feeling those emotions, or if I just sort of have a bit of like a veil of don't feel such things, conceal, don't feel, if you will, and just be the person on the internet. I don't think like any of the things that I have posted are like false positivity per se, but I think sometimes you just aren't encouraged to talk about this kind of stuff on the internet. Nowadays, when you talk about mental health, I don't know, like maybe it's just been talked about so much that it almost has lost a lot of its meaning, because the idea of like how do you take care of your mental health is often like treat yourself by buying a lot of stuff and wearing face masks and taking bubble baths and stuff like that. And there isn't really a talk of like, you know, there's the healing process of trying to get through something really difficult, but we also don't really normalize talking about the actual just hard stuff that doesn't end with, but everything's okay. Currently, I will say like today and yesterday were good days. I didn't have that much trouble with my health. I had like a nice day. It was very sunny. I got to go out and do stuff. I was with like people that I love. I got a lot of very, very kind messages from people. I really, really genuinely appreciate stuff like that, to hear from people and for everyone to kind of like have this whole heart-to-heart moment. It was very, very sweet. I appreciate it because these were like friends who were reaching out to me, and it's not because it was a social media sphere where people just were validating my experience. Because I am a person on social media, I tend to, you know, have to like post things that are more centered around like book stuff or like having a happy life stuff, and posting about like, hey, I got an inhaler is like not really, it's certainly not really like necessarily rewarded by any kind of algorithm. And I think sometimes as a creator, we are steered more towards what's going to do well on the internet rather than what am I actually literally really experiencing right now. And is that even something that I want to share publicly or not? And with yesterday, I felt like sharing. To be honest, it was not because I thought somebody else out there is feeling this too and let me create this for them, but it was just genuinely like, I no longer feel like this is something that I need to hide behind a veil, but I'd rather just be honest with people about what I'm dealing with. So that was, hey, I had to go get medicine because I'm scared. Like, this is not cool. Like, I'm not happy that I need to have medicine to artificially inflate my lungs so that I can breathe, but that's my reality right now, and I'm scared of that. Number two, I was super isolated because of COVID, because of health issues, because of not getting my texts and not being able to get in touch with people. I almost missed hanging out with someone because they texted me and I didn't see anything. And only after my friend realized that I wasn't getting texts and messaged me through Instagram were we able to meet up. Otherwise, I would literally be missing appointments with people. When you're the person who typically like reaches out to people to be like, let's do this, let's do that, let's do that, and then you're not even really sure if those people are responding or if they even want to reach out to you to be like, hey, let's do something, then it's also pretty hard because you're like, I'm keeping this thing going. Like, I'm the one who's like, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. And like, you know, it's pretty tough to also be that person 100% of the time. When you give 200% of yourself to something or someone, to spaces, to ideas, and you don't really feel like you're getting any of that back, it's extremely discouraging. And so for that to also be cut off by my cell phone provider sucked so much. It really, really sucked. And then on top of that, work was just a freaking mess. It was just a freaking mess. I really don't want to go into like the at length stuff because I could easily rant about this for a long time. This could be a big story time about something that is really not the point of this video, but essentially a coworker of mine had to take over because I had to go to urgent care, and she was going to run the meeting in my stead because she volunteered for it. She felt extremely unprepared for it, and then the meeting didn't go well. And she basically ended up crying on the phone call and like excusing herself, and my boss had to go in and reschedule the meeting. But she kind of had a very public outburst in front of our whole department. We all work remotely, but she did this on like our public department chat. So it was very bad. It was not a good look with the customer. It was not a good look with our department, and just generally it was not great. So, you know, I know that she's had some struggles in the past, so I was hoping that this was something we could resolve later. And my boss did have a talk with her about what happened, but unfortunately I found out later that she basically accused me of sabotaging her because I had to go to urgent care, so she had to take over my meeting. Now remember, there was a word here that I used, which was she volunteered. Volunteered. So, no. And number two, I went to urgent care, so it wasn't like I planned this. I did not have time to sabotage anybody. That's ridiculous. Luckily, my boss did not believe any such thing, defended me and whatnot, but there's just kind of like a lot of things flying around that involved me, and I was like, I know that I am the reason that she had to take this call, but at the same time, I don't like being involved in such a way. I have nothing to do with this. With the behavior that transpired from here, does not come back to me. So I'm lucky enough that at least at work I have a good reputation, that I don't think something like this would be taken seriously, but it was a weird thing to all happen on the same day. This was also the same day I got all my texts back as well. So it was really like everything is happening at the same time. Anyway, all of this aside, because I think that's just like, it's petty drama, it's silly, whatever. I guess what I'm trying to talk about is, how do we heal from stuff? How do we heal from medical stuff? Probably medicine. But also, how do we heal from, you know, just generally going through a recovery process in a public space, I suppose. So I don't have any answers for this per se, but while I've been doing this, I've been thinking about how I behave and how I also withhold things from myself, and how I don't think any of that is now healthy, because I'm trying to get better while, you know, with like this stuff, but I'm also just trying to be fair to myself and to be kind to myself. But it's just something that I continue to do poorly over and over and over again. And trying to do nice things for myself, a lot of the times I don't do that. I don't really, not like I do bad things, like I certainly will still like treat myself here and there, but I still think that in terms of what I value, there are a lot of things that I hold in very, very, very high value, even though they're very simple pleasures. Like when it's a beautiful sunny day and it's warm out, like that is a wonderful, wonderful, simple pleasure. It's very nice. I love days like that. Wearing my favorite like shirts or whatever, like that's a simple pleasure for me. Wearing like things that I own that I already really love, doing hobbies that I really enjoy. I have this little thing called Forever Nuts. It's a tea it's a type of tea from the David's Tea brand. And I love that tea. It is so good. It tastes delicious, and when you put it in the hot water, your tea turns pink. So it's beautiful. I love pink very much. It's very, very cute, and I love it a lot. And I never let myself have them. And I think like I'm saving it for some special occasion, and I don't get it. I don't get why I keep doing that, because it's not, I don't even get it on the special occasion. That's what's wild about this. So I will be like, you know what? I gotta save this for a special day, like my birthday. Okay, so birthdays come once a year, so I'm gonna get it on my birthday. Am I? Because on my birthday, I never get that. I don't give myself that. I don't brew the tea, I don't make the thing, because usually like I'm out and about, I'm doing other things. So then like if my birthday passes, it's like, well, yesterday was your birthday, so how about today? And it's like, well, it's not today. Like today's not, I'm going to save it for when I really want it, really, really need it or something. I bought that tea like 3 years ago. I haven't touched it once. Sometimes I go and I smell it because I'm like, wow, it smells so good, but I'm not allowed to have it. What kind of masochism is this that I'm still engaging in to this day as an adult woman? Like this is not right for me to be doing this to myself. I don't like that. But I think also like I'm holding myself back from things that I don't ever need to hold myself back from. So like those little sachets of tea, I think there's like 10 of them. I don't even know, maybe 15 of them in a box, and it's like $10 for 15 or like $8 for 10 of them. I can afford to buy another one of those. It's not like they're out of business, out of stock. I can just go buy more of those, but I save them because I guess It's a great motivator for me that, like, if I accomplish something on my really big to-do list of stuff I've really been meaning to do for a long time, then I have the promise of a reward of, like, oh, I'm gonna get that special Forever Nuts tea. But then I don't even let myself have it when I finish the thing. So, like, I literally don't know why I'm doing this. Do I think that I don't deserve it? Do I think that I have to really earn something good? That's been a very interesting thought experiment, because some of these things also are literally things that don't depreciate in value. Like, I want to wear a nice shirt, but it has to be a nice day to wear this shirt. Like, what the fuck am I doing? I really don't understand. I really don't know. I'm trying to not withhold those things from myself so much anymore, especially in the process of healing. And I think that this stuff comes up more when I think in a more existentialist way. I don't think that I'm dying from not being able to breathe. I don't think so. I could be, but I don't know. And at this point, I don't think that's a reasonable assessment. I have medication. Doctors didn't seem concerned. I don't think I'm going to pass away immediately. But sometimes when I think about the limited number of days that we have on Earth and the limited amount of time that we have with the people that we love in the phases of our life that we have with those people, and the way that it's very simple sometimes to make changes to really improve your life, things like those simple pleasures, and how more often than not I find that I withdraw from those things rather than indulging in what would make me happy, I begin to question why I do things that way and what I'm waiting for. What am I waiting for that would be a better moment than today? What do I need to do to earn this? Because apparently I've already proven to myself that there isn't really anything that is good enough for me to earn something. I should really just be giving myself these things that I know will already improve my mood and make me happy. Maybe it's this idea that if I have all those things and then I'm still not happy, then that's like a level of whatever that I'm not going to be able to reach of real happiness. And like, stuff doesn't make you happy. Like, I taught a whole class on happiness, and I don't want to go into that right now, but basically, like, buying stuff doesn't make you happy. Buying things and owning things is not where happiness comes from. However, there are plenty of things that you can engage in that will make you happy. There's a value in things, like that's why we buy them, because something about them makes us happy. And I still think that there is value in doing stuff with those things to make yourself happy. So it's not really that money can't buy any happiness. Money won't buy all happiness, but there's still some happiness to be had from the stuff that you have. However, also, there's another level of like mental health, taking care of yourself beyond just do stuff with the things that you have. Because I think when we talk about like treating yourself and mental health and things that genuinely improve our mental health are usually, wow, this got so much better because the clouds went away, so great, but I'm not re-recording that part. I'm trying to be authentic here. Like, I'm really trying not to hide stuff and like re-record things so that they're perfect. I'm just trying to get this message out. With mental health, we have this perception of it as a cute, fun little thing to like make it all better. You know, like it's a wonderful thing to get to wear a face mask. I do find those like very luxurious, even though they're like $1 or $2. I don't use those until I'm like, it's today. Like, today is the day. I'm gonna really treat myself and put on a whole $1 face mask. Oh my god, the height of luxury. Every time it's like the flaps don't really go on your nose quite right, and it's like the eye holes don't measure up. I don't know if it's my face or if it's the mask or what, but anyway, there's so much more to mental health and taking care of that, and usually it's stuff that's not cute. It's not fun to draw a little Instagram graphic of it. It's stuff like make a doctor's appointment, go for a walk for your stupid mental health, like everybody was saying a little while ago. Giving yourself like enough time to sleep for 8 hours, drink enough water, actually exercise. I'm going to be trying to do stuff like yoga. I started doing more just walking around because I didn't want to do anything too strenuous, while obviously like that would be bad for everything. But you know, that's important too. It's like the not so pretty stuff, but it still has a huge impact because plenty of those things are also weighing on us. The idea that I have something that I have to do, but I don't want to do it right now, no, I'll wait till later, is now every day I'm thinking, I didn't do that, I didn't do that, I didn't do that. Any of my friends who have like watched this thing, who have been in my room, probably know that's one of those things on my to-do list because that place is atrocious. It needs to be cleaned. There's just piles of stuff around. and I try to hide it in videos so you guys can't see it. I know that that's a huge thing that like would definitely improve my mental health, to have more space and to make my living experience in general just better, so that I'm not, you know, living in clutter, or in terms of doctor's appointments, I'm not living with discomfort like I was really about to do to myself in a very, like, very, very, very unhealthy type of way. So it is important to do things like that, and it is important to make yourself aware of how that is part of the journey as well. It's work, it's not cute all the time. Sometimes it is, but a lot of the times it's really just doing stuff so that you don't suffer as much later. And that's not really something that I guess we talk about very much. It's more about lighting candles and cuddling up with a book, but sometimes you have anxiety and you don't want to read this book because you have a million things you need to do right now. And that's okay to say on a booktube channel. On the subject of panic and whatnot, it's been a very dystopian experience of having to talk myself off the ledge of panic, because I know that if I had a panic attack, it would mean that I couldn't breathe so good, which obviously is not a great thing for me right now. And that was definitely a moment that I had, one of those more recent nights that I had to really try to force myself out of. And I guess I have enough control over my emotions that I could probably do something like that, but it's still scary to have to do that in the first place. That's very scary, to have to do that. And I think that all this stuff is often seen as like a TMI thing that a lot of my friends don't know about. And it's not because they don't know me well, but it's rather because we aren't really talking about this kind of stuff all the time. I don't really want to like trauma dump things on my friends, but at the same time, this is not really me trauma dumping. This is literally just me talking about my current lived experience right now. I think it's still hard when you know that people have their own lives and they're busy, and their job is really not to cater to you. So relying on others to support you the whole way there is not fair to yourself, because at times people will not be able to give you that. And using that as a metric of measurement of your friendship also is not fair to your friends either, because literally people have their own lives, and I am not expecting people to like carry me the whole way to recovery. But I have just really seriously appreciated everybody who has reached out to me and been very kind over the last couple days and just supportive of this. Being that this is not an issue that I necessarily see going away in like a couple days or a week, I'm honestly a little bit afraid that with this very wonderful outpouring of support, a lot of that may just dwindle away into kind of indifference or even annoyance, because when you have a chronic health issue and it happens all the time and it's not something that you get better from, you don't get to have the luxury of going, it's bad now, but it'll get better later, because maybe it won't. I think there's sort of like a level of instant gratification that I'm expecting, that when I go like, oh, it's not good now, but it'll be better later, and if it's not better tomorrow, it's like, wow, I've failed at being better, and I must have a more positive attitude to make everything better. But that's not how you recover. You don't make up the reality of the day. You just have to live inside of it. That's your duty, is to just live inside the day, do your best to get through it. If you can have a positive attitude about it to make yourself feel better, then maybe that's good, but it's certainly not a requirement. You don't have to be positive about everything just because we're on social media. I did want to share one thing that someone reached out and told me about this, and we were just sort of talking, which was very, very nice, because we hadn't really talked too much before this, but everybody's heard that whole thing of like, you know, just because your pain isn't like the worst thing ever doesn't mean that it's not valid. But she said, you know, some people's journeys are not parallel. Sometimes they're not even on the same graph. So even that, I think, hammers home for me as a more like numbers oriented person of like, yeah, sometimes the idea of recovery or your journey of whatever it may be that you're trying to aim towards will look absolutely nothing like somebody else's. If yours is a like a graph and somebody else's, what am I trying to say? Like, if yours is like a point graph, you know what I'm talking about? That thing? And the other person is a bar graph, of course they're not going to look anything alike. And if you're trying to compare your point graph to somebody else's pie chart, obviously things will not look the same, and you can't judge yourself for something like that and say, I should be doing better by now. And I don't really have a moral. I don't really have something to come out of this to make everybody feel better. I mean, you are 100% welcome to please, share any kind of thoughts that you have on this conversation in these comments if you want to. You don't have to. You don't have to leave me an emoji or anything. I'm just trying to kind of commemorate this part of my life right now with you. And I find that YouTube is really my way of talking about what I'm up to, and sometimes that's not books. This is really just me trying to talk about what I'm currently feeling and experiencing before I start posting my stuff again. And to be fair, like, I definitely will continue to post stuff that doesn't have any kind of relation to this, not because I don't want to talk about it, but just because some of it is like pre-filmed content or things that I have planned. I have legitimately, and you would never believe this based on what I've already posted, but I have legitimately planned out content for the next 9 months. So I'm trying to stick to a calendar that I already know is extremely unrealistic, and then this sort of just hit me in the face a couple days ago, and it's been like a whole roller coaster ride to try to get back on track. So I guess this is me just trying to be like, I'm trying to be more honest, I'm trying to be more upfront with the true way that I'm feeling. I don't really feel like this is the type of thing that I need to hide behind like a close friend's story, because it's a real human experience. This is something that I would probably appreciate seeing in a book for someone to talk about, and hopefully this is something that maybe you connected to, or maybe not. Maybe it's just out here in the ether, and that's fine. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching this. Thank you for supporting and for doing your thing just as another human on this earth. Appreciate it. Bye.